Good morning. This recording is to help you with that Unit 1 review. So hopefully we can take care of getting that done and passed. So if you do have questions, make sure that you email me and I'll do my best to help. Remember, we need to get that 60% or higher. And hopefully after watching this recording, you'll be in much better shape to do so. So I believe in you. I know we can do it. So let's get started with that review. So here we have some lines from Do Not Go Gentle, and it's an extended metaphor. So remember that extended metaphors refer to a comparison between two unlike things that continue throughout a series of sentences in a paragraph or lines in a poem. It is often comprised of more than one sentence and sometimes can be a full paragraph. So with these lines, what is the effect of the extended metaphor in this passage? So we're trying to think, what is the meaning of that good night? Now you can pause the recording and decide on which of these four options, whether it's A, B, C, or D. A is sustains the image of old age. B sustains the comparison of night to day. C sustains the comparison of death to night. Or D sustains the image of night. Once you made your selection, you can start the recording again. The answer is C. It sustains the comparison of death to night. So in this poem, he alludes that night is equal to death. He says multiple times, do not go gentle into the good night. In other words, he's saying, do not die without giving up a fight. So let's try another. We want to think of what the extended metaphor is in this passage. So what words can we put into a similar category? So looking at this passage, does it A, sustain the image of livings, B, sustain the image of the house, C, sustain the image of possibility, or D, sustains the image of prose? So you can pause the recording and make your selection. And the answer is B. It sustains that image of the house. And if you look, we have dwell, which is what we do when we live somewhere. A fair house, so talking about living in a house. We have windows and doors. Irony. It's a figure of speech that words are used in a way that their intended meaning is different than the actual meaning of the word. Typically, we think of it as the opposite. It could be a situation that may end up quite different than what is generally anticipated. So looking at this sentence looking at the stanza from this poem, how does the poet use irony? Is it that it's ironic that Ozymandias speaks? Or is it ironic that excuse me. Ooh, that is a tough one to say sometimes. Or is it ironic that the pedestal has strong words but the statue is in decay? Or is it ironic that Ozymandias is asking his followers to look on his works? Let's go ahead and pause and make your selection. And the answer is, it is ironic that the pedestal has strong words but the statue is in decay. So it gives you that strong imagery, but then the statue itself is, in despair around the decay. So what literary device is apparent in the title of the poem, War is Kind? And what effect does it have on the reader's interpretation? So think about what adjectives you would use to describe war. So do you think it's A, simile, B, personification, C, hyperbole, or D, irony? Give you a moment to think about it. And the answer is D, irony. So we think that war isn't commonly thought as kind, so it would make the reader curious because of that ironic statement. Now let's talk a little bit about clauses. So independent clause are clauses that can be their own sentence, a complete thought. They have a subject and a verb. So if you're trying to identify the independent clause, let's see. If the poem is about going mad when love is lost, what would happen if love didn't die? So remember that independent clauses would be at the beginning of the complete sentence in this sentence. Okay, so here we have what would happen as our complete or independent clause. Because if we try to pick out any of the other parts, if the poem is going to be about mad, is going mad when love is lost, we can't just put a period there. It doesn't quite make sense yet. What would happen? And then if love didn't die. Of course, if we add this to it, it's still a complete sentence, but this is a dependent clause with that if there. Then root words, what we talked about earlier this semester. So think about which sentence correctly uses a root word with the meaning to write. So here we have the root word is scrib or script. So the first step to answering this question is know what that root word means. So here are those sentences. The inscription on the bracelet revealed true feelings. Or D, dictate your notes to the translator. She made a spectacle of herself during the talent show, and the contradiction was identified early. So now we're going to think which answer uses the word scrib or script. And we know that means to write. So go ahead and pause and make your selection. And the answer is A, exactly. That's the one where we talk about the writing, the inscription. And then theme. So we're looking for the theme, which we're thinking that's our overall message or the moral of the story. So with this passage, what theme is revealed? That love has no bounds, the search for the meaning of life, truth will always reveal itself, or love lies in the heart. Go ahead and pause the recording, make your selection. Think about what the overall message or moral of the story could be. Okay, in this case, the search for the meaning of life. So we're looking, oh, some scholars, some sailors, wise men from the skies. Please tell a little pilgrim where the place called morning lies. So figure all these smart people might know what the meaning of life is, so telling just a basic pilgrim what that could be. And imagery. So remember, that's where they put images in your mind. So what is the meaning of the imagery in this passage? Sailors knew they could not win and retreated. The soldiers could not win and burn the battlefield. The soldiers were outnumbered and could not fight. Or the soldiers fought hard and many died. So looking at the passage, go ahead and pause the recording, and when you're ready, hit play. Okay, in this case, the soldiers fought hard and many died. So get that idea from plunged into battery smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the saber stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not not the 600. Okay, with punctuation, which of these sentences is punctuated correctly? The house that is on the corner is Victorian. The book that you are holding is the one I want. The bread in the refrigerator is not wheat bread. The woman, who is on the ballot, is not running now. So if you picked B, you were correct. Commas aren't always needed when added details are in a sentence. Okay, let's look at dashes. So what sentence shows the correct use of a dash? I am so happy that I got the job that I will, well, just wait and see. So which one of these has the dashes or lack thereof correctly? So make sure that your dash is one long line, so if it has multiple short hyphens next to each other, that's not a dash. It's got to be that long line. So you might be able to narrow out some of those quickly. And a lot of times those dashes, they signify that change in thought. If you said B, you are correct. Excellent job. Okay, how about which sentence here shows the correct use of a dash? Certain sound devices, for example, alliteration, can be used to imitate natural sounds. So where should that dash go? Think about where that independent clause is. All right, if you said D, you are correct. So if we think about the independent clause, could be certain sound devices can be used to imitate natural sounds. So in this case, we're using dashes because this phrase here, for example, alliteration, is breaking up our independent clause. And if you remember from last week, we talked about how, for example, and other phrases like that help set apart those dashes or those phrases that need to be dashed in sentences. Those are positive phrases. Okay, if you need to review more, you can watch this video again. I'm also sending out the PDF of these notes so that way you have them available to you. And of course, please feel free to email me with any questions if you get stuck on anything. All right, well, have a great day.